Alright, what's up guys? Headed to work, had something on my mind. So just to go over my last two community posts, got an influx of new subscribers, which welcome new subscribers. It's always cool to see people just come out of the blue, and it's kind of scary at the same time. I don't know, it's fucking weird. This last, my last recording about this women seeking a home through authority, and I poured a lot of, how do I put it? I poured a lot of spiritual energy into that presentation because it was really, really important to me to get it all out, because I think these I really feel as if these archetypes, these masculine and feminine archetypes, aren't spoken about enough. Definitely not by the mainstream media or anything. So this kind of representation, but you'll see this kind of representation in movies through metaphors, okay? And they can't help it, like the writers, the creators, they can't help but put this symbology, they can't help but put this mythos into their works, because you have to have writers to make a movie, right? To make a script, and their internal archetypes are gonna come out in these scripts, and it's inescapable. It doesn't matter what aisle you lean into, whether it's blue or red, liberal or conservative, it doesn't matter. But what I want to get into is are these camps that people want to put me in when they hear certain words, or they hear me, for instance, like I said in the community post, where I make fun of men or I make fun of women. If I talk shit about men, I'm blue-pilled. If I talk shit about women, I'm red-pilled. That kind of shit. And it's like, dude, I'm neither. Like, I'm neither blue-pilled or red-pilled. I think I've talked about the black-pilled boys before and how sad they are. And I think red-pilled dudes and blue-pilled dudes are just as sad, especially these red-pilled manosphere types. And if you don't like hearing about it, just unsubscribe. Like, I'm not a red-pilled guy. I'm telling you right now, like, despite the fact that I talk about women a lot, I think I talk about men a lot. Maybe not as much. It's not 50-50. Like, there's no way it's 50-50. But the reason I talk about women so much is because it's not being talked about at all by anybody. It's like people are afraid to talk about women in any aspect, in any negativity, whether it's negativity or positivity. Even the motherhood thing is becoming some weird taboo subject where it's like, like you can't even call mothers anymore for some weird fucking reason. But to get back into it, these people, the people that are commenting, and it's not everybody, right? Like, the people that are subscribing and are watching the video, they're just not saying anything, right? Like, I'll take it as, what's it called? Agreeing silently or some bullshit like that. I'll just take it as that, at that. So, these people project their nonsense onto me because I'm a mirror of what they expect. Like I said in the last community post, like, everything outside of them is happening within them, and vice versa. As within, so without. So everything I'm saying is metaphor for what's going on in their lives. If that makes sense. It probably doesn't make sense. This is probably a foreign language to a lot of y'all. But I say shit like this all the time. And one commenter in particular was saying, like, what is all these weird video titles, and you got all this mixed up with your red pill content, and what are you talking about, cats and the felinus and the alpha generation and alpha generation? What the hell? It's like, dude, like, I get it that at face value it seems fucking weird, but there's a method to the madness. All right, it's all related to me. Like, everything I talk about, the cat synchronicity, metaphysics, retrocausality, manifestation, predictive programming, all that shit's linked together, dude. The red-pilled shit, the black-pilled shit, it's all linked together, man. Because I'm telling you, this is my whole point. It's like everything happening on the outside is a reflection of you, a reflection of your expectations. So everybody is putting me in a camp because they don't know how to they can't break away from this diverse thinking. When I say diverse, I mean a split thinking. You know, I've gone over the word diverse before. Diverse doesn't mean what they say it means. Diverse means to split apart, as in two verses, to separate. Okay, that's what the word diverse means. It doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean diversity, equity, and inclusion, or whatever the fuck they say. It's everything but that. The word diverse is a very, very twisted word. So you have all these dudes coming into my channel, and probably a few females in there who want to put me in a camp, right? And this is and I'm not here to like, I'm here to how'd I put it? I'm here to split y'all apart, right? Like, when it comes to your precepts, I'm here to break apart your precepts. That's the kind of the predefined, maybe not predefined, but the just for simplicity's sake, the predefined way you think already, which would be this red-pilled and blue-pilled shit, right? It's either red or blue, black and white, with a lot of people. And I'm not here to bring people together. I'm here to split y'all apart. I'm like the old saying, separate the wheat from the chaff. I want to take the good wheat and separate it from the bad wheat. Separate it from the roots and the weeds and all that shit. And Karina and I had a discussion last night while she visited my store. It's like she didn't understand that at first, and I talked about how Jesus was here to divide. I think it's Luke 20 or something like that. I looked it up recently. That's the only reason I know that. I don't memorize Bible verses, okay? So I think in Luke 20, Jesus says something along the line of, I'm not here to bring together, but to separate. Meaning he's like what I do. I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but I gave the example to Karina because she didn't really understand that at first. And she's just like, what do you mean? What does that mean? Like, she's never really thought about it. I was like, okay, when you and I first started talking about your family, your parental issues, I was trying to separate her from her family. I was trying to separate her from her mother, get her off of her mother's tit, and I was actually trying to separate her from her blood family. That was my intention. And it's the same thing. I was attempting to separate, and I wasn't there to bring them together. And it hit her like a ton of bricks when I said that. She was like, "Oh my God, you're right." It's like you really were doing that, and I didn't think of it that way at the time. Okay, this is what I'm thinking of in hindsight, and that's the reason I'm talking about this. This is what happened to me. I had to be separated from my mother. I had to be separated from my family, spiritually, not physically, because I was already physically separated. I was physically separated by two states, by a state. You know, my mother living in Texas, I'm living in Louisiana, but I'm still connected through this weird metaphysical umbilical cord to my mother, and I had to be separated from that because I wasn't myself until I was divided in that way. And that's what God did for me, okay? This is gonna seem fucking weird to so many of y'all, but God so God helped me see that I wasn't a person until I separated spiritually from my mother, because I acted just like my mother. I was my mother essentially until I realized that she couldn't help herself, and there was no free will and all of that. The moment I forgave her was the moment I realized that she couldn't help herself, and that everything, all the fucked up things she did to me was because of her upbringing. And after that, it was a separation. Like, once I forgave her, it's like I was my real self. Like, that's what I mean by separation. So to get back into this mirror thing, where the people who watch me, I'm like a mirror to them, okay? Because the world is a mirror. Just to re-emphasize this idea that everything going on inside of you, anything going on outside of you is a reflection of inside and outside, and vice versa. So people watching me, I'm almost like a living metaphor for them, for their own lives. What they hear whatever they want, right? So I had one of my subscribers talking about Mr. Mime lately, which is a Pokemon character, and I don't know much about Mr. Mime, other than he's a mime Pokemon that has his abilities and all that. The specifics aren't really important, but he asked me what I thought about his vision, because he had like a mushroom vision or something like that, and involved Mr. Mime. He didn't give too many details, but he asked me what I thought about just the idea of him seeing Mr. Mime in his vision. I told him, I was like, I don't know anything yet. Nothing's coming to me right off the bat, but I'll let you know. You know, just keep an open mind, because it is strange that he had a vision like that. And time goes on. The video I just posted about Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. And then I made the community post about the people who see me as red-pilled or black-pilled. And then he makes a comment again saying, I see Mr. Mime. And I went, oh my God, you're right. And like another day went by. Maybe not even a day, maybe like half a day went by, and I'm like, I think I know what it means. At least to me, like, even though it's not my vision, like, he still had the impulse to tell me about it for some reason. And metaphysically, there's something in let's say the ether, right? There's something, it's like, there's instant energies that we all deal with that are beyond space and time. I hadn't talked about that much. I don't think I've talked about that at all, actually. But Carl Jung is the one who kind of proposed this idea that it's only human beings that live in space-time, and the energies we deal with are, I don't know, it's hard to put into words because our senses are limited. Like the human perspective, the human senses are super limited. So it's hard to put into words, but to kind of put it in layman's terms, it's like, you can think of it as instant energy, right? Like, he had his Mr. Mime vision, and maybe he didn't instantly think of me, but he had the impulse to tell me about it for some reason. And the more I started thinking about it, well, not that I sat around and thought about it, right? But I started realizing after he said I see Mr. Mime, it's like, oh my God, maybe I'm Mr. Mime, because I'm the reflection of the viewer's expectations, their projections. They project all this nonsense onto me without actually hearing me out. And there's a few dudes in my comment section that were hearing me out. They understood what I was saying. They kept an open mind, which I really appreciate. But the majority of the comments are like putting me in camps. They're putting me in these red pill camp or the blue pill camp, or I'm a sexist, or I hate women, or I'm a blue pilled guy. I'm like an incel. Like, someone called me an incel. It was so funny. I thought it was funny, okay? I didn't take it as an insult. I was like, oh, I got called an incel. That's a fucking achievement, dude. That's a first. Awesome. Like, a little achievement pops up on the bottom of my screen, right? Get called an incel for the first time or some bullshit. I thought it was super funny. I didn't take offense. And I told him, like, I kind of went on about, I wasn't mad at him. I was just like, hey, like, I don't understand, like, what you're saying, dude. Like, I didn't say I was blue pilled or red pilled. Where are you getting this, essentially? I'll read off the comment later, because I'm going to make a few recordings about this. But, and it's like, the people are projecting this shit onto me, and I'm like a mime to them. I'm Mr. Mime. I'm Go-Go. Like, I'm Go-Go with the mimic abilities from Final Fantasy VI. There's a character named Go-Go in Final Fantasy VI that comes to mind, who's shrouded in colorful rags, right? He looks like a gypsy, and he's a mimic. He mimics the party members, and he's one of the most overpowered he's probably the most overpowered party member in the group. Is that the fact that he can mimic so well, that he can just if you do, let's say for instance, you do quad spell, ultima spell, he can literally mimic that with no MP cost, and he's fucking overpowered as hell, man. So that makes me Mr. Mime, that makes me Go-Go, that makes me the mime, the mimic. And it's kind of frightening, because if I'm going to go by that allegory of Go-Go being the most overpowered character in Final Fantasy VI, what does that make me? That's scary. That's kind of frightening in a way. And again, I'm trying to chase people off of my channel with this schizo talk, because it's going to seem like schizo talk to a lot of y'all. And it's designed that way. I'm designing it that way on purpose. I'm mixing all this esoteric nonsense with my blue-pilled, my red-pilled content. I'm mixing all this esoteric stuff, this mystical, metaphysical shit. I'm mixing it up, man, with my red-pilled content just to scare away the normies. Go away, you fucking NPCs. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I love y'all though. Stick around, y'all. Like, I want y'all to stick around and hear me out, because this shit is going on in your lives and you don't even realize it. This is the sad part about it. Everything I said in that Wizard of Oz presentation, I had 2 Wizard of Oz presentations. If you saw the last one, go watch the one before that, where I talk about the magenta and all that. I talk about cats in that one too, and I talk about this blue pill chick at the end. Y'all love that. Y'all motherfuckers think I'm a sexist now? Wait until you watch that, where I just tear into this one feminist lady who's a fucking idiot. But okay, so I keep getting interrupted, guys. I'm sorry. It's gonna seem a little disjointed just because there's gaps in between these talks. To get back into the conversation I had with Karina, I talked about with her how everybody sees me how they want to see me. They watch a video of mine and they see what they want to see. They hear what they want to hear, and I can't help that. I can't help that they don't understand what I'm actually talking about, because the whole premise of that recording was this idea that this inescapable mythology is written into a movie almost 100 years ago. All right? Because that movie was made 1939, I think. So almost 100 years ago, and we still have these archetypes written into them. With Dorothy, with her masculine archetypes and her motherly archetypes, right? Her womanly or female archetypes. And you can't escape that, okay? I don't care how much of a crazy feminist you are. And a lot of you that are listening, you misunderstand when I say feminine and masculine. I don't mean male and female. Masculine and feminine do not equal male and female. They do not. When I say masculine, I'm talking about a certain group of traits that are found in all people. Same with feminine. Men have feminine traits, women have masculine traits. And that's the point of that video was, is that Dorothy in the movie, in her dream, in her coma, she was in a coma, right? In her dream world, she was trying to find her home. And I'm not talking about a physical home in Kansas, her spiritual home. She's trying to find herself. She's trying to find the home within her. And then how she goes about it in the movie is to explore the masculine archetypes, because that's all she's got left. She understands the mother archetype, and she understands its opposite, its evil counterpart. All right, and this is everywhere. Okay, I don't give a shit if y'all get offended that I'm saying that women are evil or women or mothers are capable of being evil. I don't give a fuck if you get offended by that, because it's true. You can't escape it. It doesn't matter how much you stomp your feet and cry on the floor about me saying mean things about women. It's out there. It's probably, you witnessed this in your mothers, your own family, your own mother. Your own mother exhibited these traits of the wicked mother, but you don't even see it because you worship women. You just blindly worship women no matter what they do, and I don't understand why. I mean, I kind of get it because you've been pathologized all your fucking life, but a lot of y'all won't see that. You refuse to see that. So let's get back to Jesus. So Jesus is telling people these kind of things, right? He's talking to the people. He's out there, man. Jesus was a very social person. Jesus in the Bible, to me, he was the everyman. He knew how to talk to people. He was very social. He just knew what was going on within people because he understood himself. And that's how I am. And I'm not telling you I'm Jesus. I'm telling you that the moment I understood my trauma is the moment I understood everybody's trauma. And that's the moment I realized there was no free will. Nobody has free will. Not a single person on this planet has free will. You're operating under your precepts. You're operating on what your parents taught you, what your mother taught you, what your family taught you, how your family and your tradition and your culture and your race and all of that has gaslit you, has completely gaslit you into thinking you're something else in the world when you're not. You're beyond the physical, you're beyond the culture, you're beyond the race, you're beyond the skin tone, you're beyond the sexes, beyond the gender. You're none of this bullshit, guys. None of this bullshit. And that's the point. That's what Dorothy was trying to find. That was Dorothy's home. I'm trying to lead y'all back into the home. That's what Jesus is trying to do. He's trying to lead people back to the home, to God, the God within. God isn't some being out there in the ether. He's already within you. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. And he was crucified for it. Jesus Christ, man. And they killed him. His most loyal subjects, man. Not subjects, but his most loyal, like, his little entourage, right? His boys. The people he called his family. He told his mother to fuck off, dude. Do y'all not realize that Jesus was just not a nice person? He was not a nice person, y'all. And I don't understand how people think he was kind and all this nonsense. Like, there's one part in the Bible, and I don't remember what chapter it's in, but he's hanging out with his boys, right? And somebody tells him, hey, your family's outside, like your mother and your little cousins are outside. And he's like, he looks at them like they're crazy. Like, what do you mean? My sisters, my brothers, and my mother are sitting right here. Meaning, like he's disassociated himself with his blood family. What you're supposed to do. This is the story. This is your story. Jesus' story is your story. Okay? This is what you're supposed to do in your life, is to disassociate yourself with your tradition, with your blood family. This is what Jesus did. And he told the person, like, these are not, like, that's not my family. This is my family. And his family that were sitting around him at the time, the strangers, right? The strangers that got together and created this little family, they still stabbed him in the back in the end. They still betrayed him. His own mother stood around while he was crucified, y'all. Do y'all not get it? Like Judas, like everybody likes to shit on Judas. Like Judas is the straw man. He's the scapegoat. Judas was just like everybody's Judas, dude. And you're gonna run into a lot of people who are Judas. Like everybody in the circle around Jesus at the time, his little disciples, they're all Judas. It wasn't just Judas. Judas was just caught in the middle, in a sense. Judas was more honest, let's put it that way. That's the amazing part about it, guys. When you have somebody in your life who betrays you, quote unquote, you need to be grateful. You need to be grateful for the Judas in your life. Because they're wearing it on the outside. Because the people around you have every capacity to stab you in the back without you even seeing it coming. And dude, like, I'm gonna reemphasize this point again, one more time. If you have a Judas in your life, you need to go thank them for being so honest with you. You need to thank them for betraying you, dude. And that's how Jesus operated. That's what his modus operandi was. That's what his mode of being was, to have appreciation for the people that crucified him because they were honest, and he understood that they were traumatized. That's why at the very end he said, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. They don't know what they're doing. The people that are cheering him on, the Roman soldiers that are just standing by and letting it happen, his stupid mother who's just standing by and letting it happen, his stupid disciples who all stabbed him in the back, right? Every single one of them stabbed him in the back. And everybody wants to put Judas on a cross, you know? Judas is just doing his thing. Judas was the most honest person in that room. So after thinking about it for a little while, the way I'm being accused of the way I'm being put into a camp, right? The red and blue thing, the red pill and blue pill thing. Just to reiterate, just to get back in the headspace, if I make fun of women, I'm considered red pilled, right? Or I'm in some kind of weird manosphere, the red pill manosphere, or whatever the fuck they like to call themselves. But if I go around shitting on men, I get called an incel, I get called blue pilled, blah blah blah. And that got me thinking, it's like, does that make me the magenta? Because red and blue is purple put together. So does that makes me Mr. Mime? That makes me Mr. Magenta. And what did Magenta do in Dragon Ball Kai? I think it was. He released Cell Max, right? It's so stupid. I'm kind of being stupid, y'all, but it's like, it's so weird. Kind of connecting these things, right? Because I talked about how the magenta wasn't showing up in my reality, right? And now we have this situation where I have people accusing me of being blue pilled or red pilled, depending on their perspective, depending on their projections, their personality projections, right? I've talked about personality projections before. And I've really, man, I got some really smart people in my comment section too. Where this one guy talked about how it seems that men and women, especially women, are attempting to take back their projections, right? Like, men have spent, because when young boys, right? Let's talk about young boys for a second, who have to project this image of the mother onto the mother. Like, it's like I said, it's a mirrored relationship where the little boy, as a young boy, and girls do this too, they project this idea of mother onto the woman, onto their mother, without really knowing it, right? But at the same time, the mother is projecting her idea of what the mother is to her son and daughter, or daughter. And it's this weird mirrored relationship. It's like, again, a mimic situation, a mime situation, where we're just kind of reflecting each other. We're just reflecting back at each other at all times. And someone in my comments section pointed out that men and women are doing this, but especially women are attempting to take back their projections, where we have women adopting these more masculine traits, right? And this is all from our media, from our movies and TV shows, showing everyone what masculinity is, when it's really just a fake version of masculinity. And it's just like an exaggerated version of masculinity, right? And I think men are trying to take back that projection as well. Because women project what they think manliness is onto men as well, and the men reflect back on that as well. It's again with the Mr. Mime thing. The Mr. Mime thing is crazy to me now. It's like this dude. Shout out to Casey, man. He knows who he is. Freaking the Mr. Mime thing. He called me Mr. Mime. He's joking around, but I don't think he's joking. Like, I'm Mr. Mime. I'm whatever people say I am, right? And it's like, that's everybody. Like, men are what women say they are, and women are what men say they are. So you have young girls who grow up and are told that you're not useful to society unless you have X, Y, and Z, right? Under your belt, right? As a badge of honor or whatever. And young girls get told this on both ends, right? Like they get told, like, you got to have a child before the age of 30 or before your menopause or whatever the fuck. And you have scientists telling them, you know, if you don't have a child by the age of 35 or whatever, you run the risk, your health is at risk, and the child might have autism or blah, 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 retardation. And they tell them shit like that, right? These stupid fucking doctors, these scientists don't know shit. And they may know a little bit. They got the data, right? They got their data points. So they just repeat the data, and then they infer, they project their own nonsense using the data. And the women are just being told these things. They're not actually living it out. Or to kind of cover a topic I've been meaning to bring up. Very interesting conversations going on in my comments section, especially this one guy brought up, I brought up this idea of how mothers aren't even expected. When I talk about expectations for men and women, and the expectations are very low right now for both men and women. Men aren't even expected to be fathers, and women aren't even expected to be mothers, because the state can fill that role now. And when I mean the state, I mean like the things I talked about, the universities, the schools, and the military, and the religion. That's not really the state, but come on, man, may as well be. The religious institutions in the state may as well be, you know, joined at the hip. So mothers aren't even expected to be mothers, right? Because one of the first things that women are expected to do when they pop up the child is put them in daycare. And while I understand that daycares are independent, like they're businesses, later on, a couple years later, the children are being molded into this idea that somebody else other than their mother is going to take care of them for, 6 to 8 hours, 10 hours a day. So already we're dealing with lots of trauma to very, very young children from a very young age. So immediately, right off the bat, a new mother, the expectations are low. You're not even expected to be a mother. And that's what I mean by like girls aren't even expected to be mothers now. They just hand them off to the state, right? Whether it be daycare or even the school system, like kindergarten and pre-kindergarten, pre-K, kindergarten, K through 12 and all that. Same goes for the father, the welfare state, all of that good stuff. Like fathers aren't almost not even expected to stick around because it's like they have a fallback in a way, and the mothers do too, where they can run to the government if they don't like the man they're with, and they can use that social system against them. So right now we're in a situation where we have girls at a very early age that aren't expected to be mothers even when they're mothers. So like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, they're seeking that inner masculine, right? The animus. And that's what The Wizard of Oz is about. And what's crazy about it is that they're seeking validation from the state, right? Dorothy's seeking validation from the state, and it's like the state is poised to take over, right? So we got young men and women who are like being seduced in a way by this kind of socialist mindset. And I'm not trying to get into politics, but that's what it is. It's socialism, right? The welfare state and the state, just the state in general, the education, the military, it's all socialism, to put it simply. So we're being like gaslit at an early age to trust the state, right? But at the same time, they're poised to take over our roles, that what we're built for, like the way men are built to be fathers and built to be leaders and built to to be husbands, right? To husband their family, where women are built to, they're designed to watch over the children and watch over the household. Like these are the roles they're for, but you got society telling them otherwise, and to trust this entity to take care of their children, trust this entity to tell you how you're going to be useful. And I got a real good example. I had mentioned in a comment section where young girls are being told they can do it all, quote unquote, and this goes for boys too. But so children are being brainwashed right now to believe that they can do it all, right? When they can't do it all. To give a quick example, my daughter is in middle school and she's in band. She plays clarinet, and they're having their honor band tryouts. But so you were having a lot of the kids, not a lot of the kids, but a few of the kids aren't able to go physically to the tryouts. So they're letting them do it through a video recording. So if they can't make it, they can do it through a video recording and all that. Instead of being told if you can't make it physically, then you're disqualified, like you're not fit to be in this band, because you're not dedicated, right? So under the guise, right, this committee or whoever decided to do this to let these kids do this, instead of telling them, it's like to put a restrictions, like, look, you gotta show it physically for your tryout, or else you're just not getting in, period. Instead of being told that, they're being told that, he's like, oh, it's okay, under the guise of being nice or being friendly or being inclusive or whatever the fuck they like to say. But they're not doing these students any favors, because as they grow up, they get shell-shocked. They get shell-shocked by this thing. They get shell-shocked by reality. It's like, you can't do it all. Like, no person on the planet can do it all. You have to find your niche. You have to find your specialization. And these kids at a very early age aren't being taught that. They're not being taught, it's like, look, it's okay to try everything, but you need to find your niche. Find out what you really enjoy and what your talent is, right? Because you have a talent within yourself that can come to fruition. But they're not being told this. Instead, they're being told, like, oh, we'll make, as if the world's going to make accommodations for your bullshit, right? As an adult. And you and I both know it doesn't. Like, the world does not accommodate for jack shit for anybody. It's brutal, man. It can get brutal. Like, people are brutal. But they're not being taught these lessons early, so they grow up, they're shell-shocked by real life, and then next thing you know, they want to off themselves, you know? Then everybody wonders, I don't know what happened. It's the sickest thing ever to me, because everybody acts shocked when it happens, right? It's like, I don't know what was wrong. You know, the mother is like, I don't know why my baby killed himself. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, you know exactly why he did it. Like, you're part of the problem, dude. It's fucking insane. Like, I told you about that little girl, the 13-year-old girl who shot herself with her daddy's gun. And her mother was a psycho, and they still like to play victim about that. Like, her grandma, which would be my mother-in-law's sister, still play victim about that. And it's been like almost 10 years by this point. And this girl's like this little girl's mother was a psycho, and her mother was a weak little bitch. I mean, her father was a weak little bitch, essentially. Just a story as old as time by this point. Alright, I'm going to read off one of my subscribers' comments. At least I think he subscribed. This part I found pretty compelling, where I mentioned the Mary Magdalene / Mother Mary. You know, the two Marys in the Bible that are related to Jesus. So, to give some context of what I think about that is, you can think of Jesus as part of the human psyche. So you got Mary the whore and Mary the mother. And those are the two archetypes. I've talked about that before. So to read off this guy's comment, I learned that this is a male psyche issue, not a woman thing. But because we act this out by projecting it onto women, they eventually become this, or we make two women as such. Similar thing I imagine happens with women, placing their projections on us and us acting them unknowingly. And I totally agree with that. That's crazy. Crazy observation. Reading on. I think we're all currently dealing with the effects of this that has happened for eons and moving, or at least some towards genuine self-awareness as humans. But even in that process of taking back our projections, seems there's still a lot of turbulence. And I think feminism is really just a natural reaction to no longer playing a role anymore, but has moved mainly towards blind rage and superiority, which is probably worse for them than towards growth. But up to them, I guess. And that's exactly what it is. It's women breaking away from these projections that men have on them, and the men can't help it. The men can't help but have this mother/prostitute projection onto all women, because those are the only two archetypes that women can encompass. This dude parked next to me again. Really? Does he fucking love me or something? One of my I know who it is, but one of my coworkers keeps parking next to me in his big ass truck, and it makes it really hard to back up because his tail end takes up so much room, and I can't see behind me as I'm backing up. Anyway, I just think it's funny because I parked in a different spot to get the fuck away from him, and he did it again. Anyway, so we can't help, like men can't help. Women do this too, okay? We can't help but to project these archetypes onto women and onto men, and we just act them out. So in this weird way, men are mimicking what women expect, and women are mimicking what men expect. And the thing is, it's harder on the women. It's really, really hard on the women, especially nowadays, because with this feminism thing, they're teaching young boys to be little feminists as they grow up, and you have a lot of resentment in these young boys for their own mothers. And I'm talking from firsthand experience. I used to hate women, okay? I used to hate women because I hated my mother because of the things she did to me, and I projected those shadows. I projected that archetype onto everybody else, onto other women. And that was wrong. This is the point I'm getting at, guys. It was wrong of me to do that. And the moment I realized I was wrong is when the healing started. And a lot of y'all probably think I don't like women, but it's not that I don't like them, it's that I want them to be free from these projections. And this guy said, this guy was brilliant, man, when he said taking back our projections, like taking back, like the feminism is just a reaction to the projections. And as a way of taking back the projections, they're doing it with anger, they're doing it with hatred. And like I've said about the anti-dog community, this kickback to the dog culture, there's a kickback to the dog culture. I know it's weird I'm bringing this up, but these people, they're handling it with anger, and you can't handle it with anger, or it's just not gonna work. And in my opinion, I've been listening to some podcasts from some anti-dog people, and they're getting wrapped up in this pronoun shit, or this, to put it simply, this woke blue-pilled shit, because of the host, and I'm not gonna say his name. The host kept doing this weird backpedaling whenever he would talk about somebody, where he said something along the lines of, I don't know their gender, or something like that. And he did this several times. And the minute you start, because he's pandering, okay? He's starting to pander to this woke mob in order to get more people on his side, as in the anti-dog thing. Because they're starting to have more females on their podcast, and they're trying to pacify them. They're trying to suck up to them. And this is fucked up because it's demeaning, it's degrading to start pandering to these females. It's degrading to the females. Like, treat these women how you would treat anybody else, because these are grown women. They should be able to handle anything. They should be able to They should be able to handle the jokes, handle the banter, just like any other person. The minute you start backpedaling and doing all this shit like that, your little movement's doomed to fail. Okay? Your little anti-dog movement is gonna fail. It's done. You're done. You're fucking done. Because you're starting to incorporate this woke shit. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's all about woke and red pilled. I'm not saying that, dude. I'm saying like you're starting to modify your language in order to pander to a certain demographic. And the minute you start doing that, you've doomed the whole movement. It don't matter what it is, dude. I don't care what movement it is. Like, you can't modify your language like that. You can't start having this double think and this second guessing yourself whenever you say someone's name and all that bullshit, because you're muddling up the topic, the real topic, which is dog attacks and the dog culture, right? Like I said, it may seem weird that I'm even bringing this up, but this is what happens when you begin pandering to females. Stop pandering to females. Have them on your podcast, obviously, because I think they have a lot to offer, because they're people too. They're capable of research, they're capable of having opinions, and all of that. Duh. There's plenty of females I watch on YouTube that I don't have a problem with, because they don't want to be pandered to. They just go with the flow. It doesn't matter if they're talking to a male, talking to a female, they're gonna act the same. They don't give in to this pronoun woke shit. And that's a disaster, man. Like it's just not gonna work. You know, I actually stopped listening the moment I started hearing this weird backpedaling about pronouns and gender and all this stupid nonsense. I stopped listening. Like, I'm so put off by that now. And it's even it's probably even worse than the race thing, when certain people bring up race when they're talking about something completely different. They just bring up race out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck does race have to do with anything sometimes? And I'm like, it's so off-putting, guys. And my channel specifically is about, like, I'm all about spirituality, and I'm all about breaking y'all away from the race thing, the gender thing, the pronoun thing, the religion thing, the skin tone thing, the culture thing, the language thing, all of that nonsense. I'm trying to get y'all to break away. Because it's here to divide. It's the Tower of Babel story. The Tower of Babel was designed to divide. That's what that whole story's about. Separating everybody, separating all the little idiots into different races, different genders, different pronouns, different ethnicities, different skin tones. That way, they're forced to look within themselves they're forced to look within to find the real self. It's not about being Mexican, it's not about being Caucasian, it's not about being white, Asian, black, whatever. It's not about that. And the people that cling to this bullshit, that cling to this race bullshit, the people that do that, they're doomed. They're like doomed little creatures. Because they gave in. And that's it for me, guys. Have a nice day.